face, tell this baby face, tell this baby face, tell this baby face. Josh is like a girl, Josh is like a girl, yeah.
I like bags of milk. I like bags of milk. Da-da-da.
Wow! Come on, David, I need some vocals.
Welcome to the jungle. We got more games. We got that
Bang your head! What is up, Ringo?
Wow!
To make this Batman retard this year, Faith Unaltered. Well,
Coming this fall.
join them in Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all, Christians of all ages, welcome to another episode of Faith Unaltered. We're going to have some fun. We're going to get jiggy with it tonight. Welcome. What's up, guys? How you doing?
What's up, buddy? How are you? How was your
I'm
week?
excited. It's the end of the year special, and as you all can tell already, we're having fun tonight. So anyway,
Cheers.
It was good. I ain't got no alcoholic beverage. I've got Pepsi. So this is all soberness for me, guys. All soberness.
Yeah, that intro music is very cinematic.
It is, I try to make it, I try to edit it well and try to make it flow.
In a world
Blue.
You're right.
Or Christianity
So
is
we're
true.
here with Joshua Davidson and Dale Glover. What's up, guys? How you doing? Dale and his bag of milk, and Josh and his Irish Monster look. What's up, guys?
Yeah, doing pretty good on my end. Can't complain. Just looking forward to having a good time on New Year's Eve and stuff, and drinking lots of gallons of milk. I think is how
Yeah,
you.
That's a half gallon, sir. That is a half gallon.
Half gallon.
Oh.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
We're gonna debate, Dale. I challenge you to a debate. What is the best, a bag or a gallon?
A
That's
jug
no question.
or a bag?
Jugs or bags?
No question. It's bags all the way. So, yep. Anytime.
Coming in 2023. The big milk debate.
That's what the world's been waiting for.
Like seriously, guys. Like, how was your Christmas? I mean, what'd you guys get? What happened?
I sent Dale bags of milk.
Yeah, it was.
Did you get them?
Yeah, it
Because
was,
I did do it.
It wasn't
I,
me.
My children made out like bandits and got so much toys that I had to empty some of the toys from their bedroom to make room for them.
Yeah.
And some of them are still residing in my living room because they don't have a home yet. And so,
Are you like stirring a brew over there, sir?
yeah, I'm steeping the bag.
Ah, steep it. But no, I agree. So, okay, so I'm going to get serious now. So, yes, whenever you become a parent, that kind of responsibility I never knew fell on you, right? To get rid of the old and make room for the new. I think we could do it like if I was in pastor mode, I think I could make a host sermon about Paul, right? Put on the old or take off the old, put on the new. It's Christmas toys, right? That's exactly what he's talking about there.
Of course.
So, missing context.
I don't think
and
I don't
syntax,
think
you
he
know.
had kids, but yeah,
I don't know. Peter did, maybe, right? Like,
Peter,
it's
I'm pretty
possible.
sure he probably did. But
He's like,
yeah.
Uncle Paul.
I mean, he was probably married a lot longer than we know. You know, who knows? Before
I think
Jesus,
the coolest thing that I
Tradition.
personally got for Christmas was I finally received a commission painting from our friend Chris Padeo. I don't know if anybody on here knows him, but he is a remarkable artist and painted a portrait of my lovely wife for me. And I finally received that in the mail, and I consider that to be my Christmas present.
Where is that thing, bro?
It's in my bedroom.
Okay.
dude,
Would
my
you like to
wife.
see it?
Do you got it on the the ceiling?
No, we still need to
Oh.
get it framed.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Right. Let me see it.
Okay, hold on.
My wife, she ended up getting me these lovely wine glasses, you know, and the theory behind these wine glasses is you put the wine in the bottom,
Hey,
and what
David.
it does is it concentrates the smell as it goes up the flue, so you can get all the different smells and things you get when you sniff the wine before you drink it. So that's what that's one of the awesomest gifts I think that you could get when you're being a wine taster, because you know you're able to identify all the flavors you're about to probably taste in the wine. So, you know, with the vignette that has such a bouquet like this, it really heightens your senses when right before you drink it. So those I thought that was really cool.
Remind me to get a dictionary the next time you speak about wine. Anyway. I don't know.
Well, I don't drink sour wine.
Can you put that in English?
Like somebody likes to drink sour wine over here.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what. So let me just go on that tangent real quick. If y'all ever, if you're drinking wine and you see little particles floating around in it and it's really like sour, go take it back to the thing, because David, I had a whole bottle of that, and I'm like, you know, usually half a bottle, like I start feeling it, right? Dude, I drank a whole bottle of this, okay? Nothing. And no, it's not because my tolerance is really high and like I'm alcoholic or anything like that. This wine was cooked. All right. So if y'all don't know what cooked wine is, now you do. So
It's vinegar, basically.
it's gross. Like, it's gross. It does something to the alcohol and like it makes it nasty. And just take it back. They will refund you your wine, or they should. If they don't, then
Then go get your wine
I'm not going
somewhere
to
else.
advocate sin. But yeah, you get your wine somewhere else. And
Yeah.
I learned
But,
that
yeah.
over the holidays.
Yeah. So like when Tyler came which is another thing when we're talking about year in review. Tyler came to visit me this year.
I did.
And he got to hang out at the winery with us for a little bit and do a tasting. And they fell in love with the strawberry watermelon wine. And you're gonna be getting some of that soon. So they still have some, which is a miracle.
No, we
But
don't.
you're also gonna get our dessert wine that we made ourselves. So you're gonna
Sweet.
enjoy that. But the cool thing is that he told us, hey, don't leave these in your car too long because they'll cook. And I guess Tyler just missed that memo. So
No, I went to the
it
liquor
just didn't
store,
compute.
bought it, and no, I didn't have anything to do with me cooking my own wine. They cooked it for me. And so,
Pre-cooked.
and trust me, whenever I got in the driveway, it came directly out of my car and into the freezer. And yeah, that's what happened.
So I don't know, anybody who hasn't seen my wife probably won't recognize how remarkable this is, but I have the painting if you want to see it.
Yeah, that's why you went and got it. Look
Dude,
at that.
that's
That
a
looks like
painting.
a picture.
Wow, that is
Looks like
wonderful.
a,
Yeah, it does.
This
That's
is a
really good.
painting. Look at the detail on that. Look at like the gauge on
is.
her ear, like the eye
Dude,
color.
he used some computer graphic stuff, dude.
That's my
That's not all
backyard.
by hand.
That's all by hand.
That this is all
Wow.
oil paint. Like you get it's
That's really good.
look at the
dude.
edge of the picture. Like you can see all the
Yeah.
drip and smear marks and stuff.
That is
Dude is
really cool.
wild.
absolutely impeccable.
Chris
Incredible.
Padeo. Find him on Facebook.
Seriously, shout out
Can
my
I-
favorite Filipino friend.
Would it be inappropriate? And if it is, just don't answer. But would it be inappropriate of me to ask Josh how much the painting was?
To be honest with you, I don't remember. He charges basically per square inch of canvas. So the painting is dependent upon the size of the painting.
Okay.
At least that's how he charged me. I don't remember exactly what his
Let's get up.
what his rate was. He can probably update me on that, and maybe if he's lucky, we'll put it in the description. David has kicked us off of here. There we
No,
go.
I did that. Hold on. I want to full screen it. Hold that picture up again, Josh.
Okay, hold on.
There
Let
you
me take
go.
it out. Getting him free commercials right here.
Yeah, that's right. We're gonna do free advertisement for our buddy Chris. He's
Free
a good dude.
advertisement. If you
Oh, you
want to
know
bless
him?
your wife for the holidays,
You're gonna be our voiceover guy, I swear.
Get her a picture of herself.
That's right.
this is absolutely a perfect spot on image of my wife. It's
is.
remarkable. Like down to the beauty of her perfect little smile and her eyes and everything. Like,
Yep. He nailed it.
wonderful.
He nailed it for sure. And
He
so
really did.
I was excited to see that, Josh, because I was talking to you about it, and I really want to get something like that, maybe a portrait of my family for Lacey one of these days, and I would love for Chris to paint that. So
And it came in this nifty mailing tube.
Well,
So
as
that
long
it's
as Tyler,
perfectly-
you're out of the picture,
It's
where it will probably
perfectly
burn
safe
before.
in transit and everything. It's very, very professional. Highly
That is
recommend.
awesome.
5
That
out
is
of 5
awesome.
stars.
yeah, for sure. What's up, Andrew? How you doing, brother? Travis, Ringo, guys, welcome again. We're
Yes.
just goofing off tonight. It's a pretty chillax night, end of the year review. And so, guys, let me ask you. So let's just, Dale. First of all, brother, you haven't even gotten this intro. I don't think you said 2 words since we've been live, brother. How are you? How was your
I'm good.
Christmas? How's your week? What's up?
Yeah, like I said, I was pretty good and stuff like that. Just spending time with friends and family over the holidays. Nothing too exciting, or I didn't travel anywhere or anything like that. But yeah, I always enjoy just taking it easy these couple weeks in December and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that's me.
Right on. And also for our listeners, if anybody wants to join us, I will go ahead and post the link into.
I just did.
Did you? Okay, great. So David went ahead and posted
sure
the link. Click that link. It will directly connect you to this little room that we're all in. So if y'all want to hop on with us for a little bit, feel free to do that.
Mhm.
And guys, let me just go ahead. So Dale, we'll start
Mhm.
with you.
Okay.
So you came on the Faith Unaltered crew, like officially, right? Probably about what, 3-4 months ago? Fair enough. Or
Yeah, so I think my first time was actually on your launch event, because this is your first year of Faith Unaltered. Before that,
is.
we didn't have. We
Right.
had Complete Sinner's Guide and Pora, Proselytize or Apostatize, right? So I was there for the big night, the launch event with Jonathan McLatchie and everyone else that you guys had on. So I think I was presenting the Evil God Challenge, which was the subject of my master's thesis or my major research paper, whatever you call it. So yeah, that was exciting for me.
So I'm curious. So yeah, for those who missed that event, we've got it on our YouTube channel, and we had a whole host of shows throughout that entire weekend. And so what we did was a launch weekend where we started off Friday night on the radio. We interviewed the people that were going to be on throughout the weekend. And so I think I know Josh and Garrett and Josh Sherman came on, did the narrative structure. We ended up releasing a debate that has been our most successful in terms of views episode. So very first episode we released, which is really cool, I think, with David Wilbur and Rob Solberg. So that video has got over 7,000 views now, y'all. And it blows me away every time I see it, because every time I look at it, it keeps going up, right?
I thought you were going to say the Jonathan McLatchie debate, but no, you surprised me. So, okay, cool.
David Wilbur, Rob Solberg is the Sabbath
Yeah, it's
required for
Yeah.
Christians to keep.
That is so wild that was but before that, Tyler, I mean, I have to go into okay, so this is the year in review, and this is what I wanted to talk about. This is one of the things I wanted to bring up was we just started collabing together, and before we launched, we said we need a team. We can't do this alone. We need Josh, we need Dale, we need Caleb, we need Travis, we need all these guys that have been working with us. And even Travis is in the comments section now, and he won't be here tonight because he's about to head out with probably some family time during the holidays. But he wants to come on
No, I'm just
again.
kidding.
He does want to come on as soon as possible because he doesn't feel like he's been on forever. But
Yeah,
look, guys, I mean, you guys have made this show what it is, and we couldn't have done it without you. So I wanted to say that first off. But this really started with me and Tyler's passion, and you guys helped even with the debate we had with Alternate Media on the deity of Christ, right? Nothing brings Christians together, I think, more than the deity of Christ, who Jesus is. Why? Because he made such an impact in the world. Like, he changed the face of Western civilization. I mean, there's nothing I can say about that. And when I'm reminded of that debate, I'm reminded of such a fond memory, and it kind of like sets me and Tyler's, I guess, character in debates and how we try to make our guests number one. We try to say, hey, look, we want whatever makes you feel comfortable on here. We really want all the conversation to be so good that you want to come back. We want to not only make sure that you're comfortable here, that you're not ganged up on, and this goes for our atheist guests, this goes for any other guests that are not of our worldview and are not of our particular belief system. It doesn't matter. We want you to be able to feel comfortable coming on, and that's one of the things that I think we really accomplished in our first collab together, even before we launched. But the topic was the deity of Christ, and I think that's an important topic, and that's kind of like the first topic I wanted to kind of discuss is the deity of Christ, and where we're at on that, and how we have grown in our knowledge of that.
Yeah,
Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, that was probably by far my most favorite debate that I participated in, actually, because of the attitudes that were exchanged between the interlocutors, like that. And see, I just want to take that and really amplify it. That's our goal. That's one of our goals anyway on Faith Unaltered. And I think, and Josh has been a big part of this too, as well as Dale, is striving to meet that goal as it just, as the time goes on, as we bring more guests. We had Tim Stratton, Chris Date. We've had a bunch of things happen over the course. We've only been running, guys, since July, right? And so we've had so many things happen, but I think that's the thing that's getting out, is that Faith Unaltered is a place that is really passionate. Yes, really passionate, but passionate about Christ likeness. And if that's the thing we can advocate the most, I mean, other than the gospel, then I'm so down for it. And I think where I'm going with all this is I think that debate with Brad and Seamus really set the stage for what we have become today. And so I think those guys, I thank all of you for doing that. But yeah, man, as far as the deity of Christ goes, like, it's a topic that I love. I love a lot of topics within Christianity. Right now, we've been focused on determinism, free will, Molinism, Calvinism, things of that nature. And I had told the guys earlier today that I think the episode that we're planning, nothing set in stone yet, but the episode that we're planning to do will be our last episode for a while on it. Man, and the reason I say that, I was listening to a book by Dr. James White, but it was on Sola Scriptura. And guys, I'm not gonna lie, that book got me so inflamed for the word that I've missed that over the course of dealing with these philosophical claims. I feel like I've been reading nothing but philosophy and have actually put scripture on the back burner, right? And I don't want to do that. And so after we do this last video for a while on determinism and free will, I'm getting back into the Greek. I'm getting back into, the languages, and just getting back into the Bible, and namely because of the deity of Christ, right? These are two things that really coincide with each other, I think. And I love the topic. I can't wait to jump back into it. And I'm excited to even discuss the topic with Brad and Seamus again, hopefully in 2023. I know they've been busy. We've been busy as well. Yeah. But I would love to get those guys back on to continue that conversation.
It's so funny. What launched you into the Greek was the deity of Christ. That debate really launched you into the classes and me and you collabing on the Greek and doing what we could. Of course, yeah. I'm studying a master's, so it was hard for me to keep up with you, but you've been doing really good with that. So, I mean, anybody that has a question on the Greek, I mean, go to Tyler.
Well, thanks.
No, but
I got a long way to go.
One thing I gotta say is that, like, I have been so excited to see everybody grow. You know what I mean? It's like I have seen everybody take leaps and strides, and for an older guy, that is just watching this, it's very encouraging to see your hosts, the people that participate with you, to grow. And then I'm growing myself. I mean, like, I've learned so much from all these guys, and they provoke me to want to learn more. And I don't feel like I can keep up sometimes, because I'm like, man, I got this going on. I got this going on. I got this going on. And it's just hard to keep up sometimes. But with their encouragement and the fact that these guys are in touch with me weekly, and, checking on me and sharing life together, it's been such a great experience that I can't live without, honestly, man. I mean, this is my fellowship. These guys are the brothers that help make me who I am today. And with that, I just want to say, like, with that first debate, what did you guys think of that first debate, Josh and Dale? What did you
think? We squashed them. No, I'm just kidding.
No, he squashed them.
I'm just kidding, Brad Chase. You guys were good. I loved it. Josh, go ahead.
Well, I actually participated in that. I wasn't a debater. I was supposed to be an unbiased third party. I have my biases, but I would say that I'm one of the people who is odd enough to be able to step outside of my framework to ask questions as though I've never heard. And so I really enjoyed that debate, primarily because I was able to, I would say probably I was able to step inside of their framework more than I had before, in a way that I felt was genuinely successful. Like, I had a couple of aha moments when I was wearing my my non-deity hat, let's say. I'm trying to consider what it is that they're saying and how they're saying it and the way that they were explaining their analogies and things like that. I was able to form questions that I hadn't been able to form before because I was able to step into their worldview. And that's one of those times that is a genuine opportunity for growth and learning, like you were saying, David, that really pushes you to get past the boundary of your own ignorance. And I really enjoy Brad and Seamus. A couple months after that, we actually had them on CSG because I did an episode about whether Christian metal belongs in the Christian community. Little did I know that Brad and Seamus are both metalheads and musicians. And so we had me, Tyler, this guy Chikastose, Brad, and Seamus. All of us played instruments. All of us played metal. And so it was a really interesting conversation where we were able to, as Christians, as musicians, as metal fans, give a positive, not preferential case, but a theological and practical case for that whole thing. And it was an interesting transition because when I was talking to them about the deity of Christ, I affirm the deity of Christ and I'm a Trinitarian. And so I had my biases. So it was difficult for me to step outside of that. But collaboratively, man, they're such brilliant guys.
Yeah.
Like they really are. They're
Y'all
very
headbangers,
clever.
man.
Yes. Yep.
Right on, Dale.
Awesome. So you guys are gonna hate me as a guest. So I don't really remember the specifics. I remember I watched it.
Kick
and
him off.
I gave David like my feedback, I think, by email at that time, but I totally am drawing a blank on that just because I watched so many things. I do remember David telling me about all the effort you guys put into that behind the scenes.
Oh,
I mean,
goodness.
months researching for that debate. So I do remember that clearly and being
Yeah.
impressed with everything that David had to offer because he was the one I was talking to and stuff like that. And he was telling me about all the research Tyler was doing. And yeah, I was just impressed because it took me back to my own shows when I was studying the deity of Christ and the issue of the Trinity and the incarnation and how we make sense of that. So that was a topic that I was always interested in, what model of the Trinity makes sense philosophically, and how can we prove biblically from the New Testament that Jesus is in fact divine or shares the divine nature of God. And that's where I kind of bring in Richard Bauckham, which I remember telling David about, and David mentioned that to Tyler, but he has this divine identity thesis, right? So what the New Testament does is it teaches that Jesus shares in the unique divine identity of God in the Old Testament, basically as the creator and sustainer and ruler of everything that exists. And then the other way is he's the God of Israel based on what he does for Israel and stuff like that. And Jesus is said to share in that where it's only unique to God the Father. So that's sort of my way of looking at that stuff. But
I think Dale, like that push into Bauckham, because you're like, hey, he does more than Jesus and the eyewitnesses, and then me and Tyler are like, okay, let's look into Richard Bauckham, and then let's get another scholar on, and he had him on CSG. I can't remember his name, Tyler, but we had him on CSG, and he was the one that really got us to read Bauckham's work on the deity of Christ, and we both bought the book and started reading into that too.
Scholar we had on John, on the Gospel of John?
No, it wasn't the Gospel of John. It was man, I can't remember.
Oh,
we talked a little bit about Nicaea and stuff
Philip
like that.
Carey?
That was it.
Philip Carey?
Philip
Yeah.
Carey. Yep, we had Philip Carey on, and he was the one that was talking about the two powers in heaven and turned us solidified our dive into Bauckham's work there. And because I remember telling Tyler, is like, if you really want to debate this, because we were TikToking, we had just started TikToking. Tyler was doing it like crazy. I was just putting out maybe one video here and there. Tyler was just like, I'm going to read you Ephesians. I'm going to read you all this. But no, but we
I got to get back to that.
We jumped on and we're like, hey, we want to debate this. However, I told Tyler, I was like, if I'm going to debate this, you got to give me some months. We're not going to just do this in 2 weeks. We're not going to do this. And we prepared. And I think that's the best way to do a debate is if you're going to do a debate. And I learned this from my time in Trinity was like, hey, look, if you're going to agree to a debate, be the type of person that's going to give it time, and really look into it, not just fly off the cuff. As a host, you can fly off the cuff, right? As a host, you can fly off the cuff. But as a debater, you need to be willing to give people time. And you need to be willing to take the time yourself.
Yeah.
So, anyways, but yeah, I thought that was amazing, and that really launched me and Tyler into, hey, look, let's collab. We could probably combine the shows, and even branch off into separate shows and sub shows under one banner, and that's what we kind of did. We started with Faith Unaltered. Josh kept CSG going, and me and Dale, we do the complete or.
Theo Geeks.
No, we did Theo Geeks.
Oh, yeah,
we do Theo Geeks, but Dale also does Real Seekers. So, we're creating a larger network. And I think that is I think that's important. I think that's what we need to do. I think that's what we should do as much as we help each other, we also have our own shows, and we do our own shows. We do certain things. We discuss different topics, when we can. And we grow, and we are able to get content out to people that have questions about Christianity. There hasn't been a day since I've started Faith Unaltered, and me and Tyler have been working, and there hasn't been a day that goes by in my personal life that I don't engage with some of these topics. Whether it's Christianity, just questions that come at me, or whether it's these type of topics that come at me that we've discussed, like whether it's old earth, young earth, whether it's the deity of Christ, who Jesus is, whether it's free will, determinism. These all come up even at my work. I was even talking about, the reason we're doing the Zeitgeist at the end of the year was because people have been talking to me about it, right? Bible contradictions, everything. And, we try to say, okay, look, we deal with these questions, right? And next thing you know, either beforehand, we're doing shows on them, and it just so happens that people are asking me questions about this, or they inspire an entire series of shows that we look into.
David, let me ask. I'm curious. So obviously, with the Zeitgeist, that's the most recent thing. Have your coworkers seen the show? Has anything come of doing the show with them?
I haven't got any feedback yet, but usually when we do shows on it, I usually get questions down the road. Okay. I'll either get questions before that will inspire me, like the whole Jordan Maxwell thing. Let me just go back to that. I had a friend from work that asked me about Jordan Maxwell. Jordan Maxwell is the first quote that the Zeitgeist uses, right? So, like, I had a guy asking me about Jordan Maxwell. So I said, okay, this guy puts out a lot of material, right? Let me challenge him to a debate, because what he's saying is just preposterous, right? So I challenged Jordan Maxwell to a debate. Jordan Maxwell actually comes back and tells me just to buy his book, and to buy his stuff. He kind of gives me it was stupid, but like this guy basically refuses to actually have a discussion, and which really drilled it into the head of my friend that watches us or asks me questions, saying, hey, I'm never going to listen to this guy again. If he's just trying to sell you something, there's obviously something wrong. So that's kind of how it works. I really say that these are like divine appointments, like a charismatic would say. These are kind of like divine appointments. They just happen, man. You can't prepare for them. They just come about.
Real quick before we move on, guys, Ethan, Ethan, brother, hit me up later if you want to talk about Philippians 2. I know that you had said you were just joking in the chat, so I'll just be brief with my comments here. But I was looking over it and in the Greek text, and I was reading, I don't know if you have it or not, but Kenneth Wuest's expansion of the New Testament. And now, granted, this is not by any stretch of the imagination a formal translation or a word for word, but it's very dynamic in its essence. And I think it captures the idea that Paul was really trying to purport in Philippians. And so I just want to read it for everybody, and y'all can give me some feedback on it if you'd like to. If not, we can move on to the next conversation or the next topic at hand. But he says this, I'll start at the end of verse 5. He says, "This mind be constantly having in you. This is the mind which is also in Christ Jesus, who has always been and at present continues to subsist in that mode of being in which he gives outward expression of his essential nature, that of absolute deity, which expression comes from and is truly representative of his inner being, that of absolute deity. And who did not, after weighing the facts, consider it a treasure to be clutched and retained at all hazards, this being on an equality with deity in the expression of the divine essence. But himself he emptied, himself he made void, having taken the outward expression of a bondslave, which expression comes from and is truly representative of his nature as deity, entering into a new state of existence, that of mankind. And being found to be in outward guise as man, he stooped very low, having become obedient to God the Father to the extent of death, even such a death as that upon a cross. Because of which voluntary act of supreme self-renunciation, God also supereminently exalted him to the highest rank and power, and graciously bestowed upon him the name which is above every name, in order that in recognition of the name, all which the Lord Jesus is in his person and work, which Jesus possesses, every knee should bow, of things in heaven, of things on earth, and of things under the earth, and in order that every tongue should plainly and openly agree to the fact that Jesus Christ is Lord, resulting in the glory of God the Father. And so I wanted just to read that to give an idea of the way Wuest would, take into consideration the Greek, just the semantics, the syntax, the exegesis of everything, and kind of put it into one in a way in which I don't think any besides like maybe the Amplified Bible would be kind of on the same par as this, but I really think Wuest brings out the idea that Paul is trying to purport in that hymn.
Yeah,
So.
and Tyler, I was the one that took the Carbon Christi in the Greek on that.
You did,
because we were both dividing up different verses on that.
Yeah.
And when it comes to morphe, morphe means literally outward display of the inner reality of substance, like essence and stuff like Tyler just said, which is really cool because the act of emptying is something Christ did himself. So like Tyler, when you're just talking about the whole concept of like the humility of mind that Christ had, I think that's also really important. But Paul also uses kineo. I think that's how you say it. You might be able to say that better than me now, buddy. But metaphorically, every time Paul uses that, he does it also in like Romans 4:14 and stuff like that. It's basically Christ voluntarily laying aside his privileges and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, the act of emptying is also followed by like taking. So he became flesh by taking the form of a bondservant and being made in the likeness of men. So it's no coincidence that Paul uses the very same term.
David.
Yeah.
Someone's saying when you turn your head, it's hard for them to hear.
Is it? Oh, I'm sorry. Let me turn it this way. Can you hear me now?
That's better.
Yeah.
Okay, so the act of emptying is followed by taking. He became flesh by taking the form of a bondservant and being made in the likeness of men. It is no coincidence that Paul uses the very same term. Let's see if I can read that. Form here, like in verse 6, just as Jesus is in the form of God. So, like, yeah, so that's kind of like what Paul's saying here. And I think there's no doubt with the Carbon Christi here. It's an early poem that was used to accent the deity of Christ. You know, it was an early poem used from the early church that promoted the deity of Christ. There's no doubt in my mind that this is. I mean, Bart Ehrman was all over the place on this in Unbelievable. He simply couldn't explain it, and he had to try to concoct an entire theology almost that's totally different from the traditional idea and what would seem historically the most accurate description of what the first century church was trying to say, which is that this man is more than just a person. He's more than a prophet. He's God in the flesh. You can see similarities in Paul's theology and John's on this, and you can see it all throughout the New Testament. And with our talk with Paul Anderson, Tyler, I really think that really solidified it for me. Was that, you know, that really solidified the idea of the theologies that were going around at the time of the deity of Christ, and I thought that was phenomenal. But anyways,
Robert Wiesner pulls from Bauckham in the Crucified God book, and he actually has an article. If I can find it again, I'll link to it in the description of this video. But he has a really, really good article about how Paul, especially with Philippians 2, 6, or 5 through 11, 6 through 11, really, has basically took that verse, related it, and connected it back to the Old Testament. I think Isaiah 45 off the top of my head. I could be wrong on that. Is it Isaiah 45? I
think you're right, yeah.
Okay, I was thinking that. I know Romans 14 talks about that, every knee will bow language as well. But, and I just love the way Robert brings that out. Also, I just want to give one more resource and then we can move on. But guys, I just bought, so funny story. I talked about this verse. We didn't record it. It was our Christmas Eve service at church, but this was the verse, the passage that my pastor had given to me to maybe do a little devotion on. I think I did like a 5-minute spiel on it. But it was really good. But what I did was buy the Pillar New Testament commentary series on Philippians, and oh my goodness, it was $40 on Logos. But Ethan, if you want to dive into Philippians, I highly, highly suggest the Pillar commentary series on Philippians. Beautiful,
right on. And you know, the verbs in the Greek and how they're presented totally solidified my belief that this is really what was talked about. This is, you know, it was the deity of Christ. It was really detrimental to my understanding of it. Is just look at the verbs. I even ran the verbs. Me and Tyler went over the verbs. We went over what even James White said in the Forgotten Trinity on Philippians chapter 2 and the debates he had. And we're like, there's no way around this. Let's look at the verbs. Let's look what James says. Let's look at what other people say and compare them. We ran them by each other, and there's no way around it.
I'm kind of interested in a philosophical question based on this Philippians hymn, where you guys are saying it's a poem. Sorry,
is it Philip?
Yeah, my dad's name, right? So yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay.
I'm kind of curious about this. It talks about Jesus emptying himself, right? This kind of thing, and how Jesus took on the form or took on the human nature is what the theory of the incarnation is. And this is something that, I've talked about with David Russell and some of our Theo Geeks thing. And he's been quick to say, Dale, you're a heretic, kind of thing. So I want to know. Yes. So I take Herod's avatar type model, right? So for me, I think that the certain divine attributes were sublimated in some way, right? So, for example, Jesus, during his time of humiliation, and even still now, according to the Bible, he's subconsciously omniscient. But there are some propositions he doesn't know. He doesn't know when the end of the world will come. Only God the Father knows that, right? So does that take away from his omniscience? No. He can still know those true propositions. But like the thing where me and David were kind of going back and forth on, I was kind of saying, look, for me, the way Jesus became incarnate is he was a divine person who had a divine mind, and that became embodied in a physical body governed by the human genome. Very simple and stuff like that. And I know David Russell takes issue with that. So I wanted to just ask you, like, what is your notion of how did Jesus take on this human nature? What does that mean to you when he emptied himself out and took on that form?
I would honestly like to hear David on this one first, because if you guys have already kind of squabbled, like because I don't see, just off the top, I haven't studied it, but I don't see the problem with the way you worded it, Dale. So, David, what would your quibble be with that?
Well, can I actually jump in real quick?
Please,
Because I'm coming in blind here.
Yeah,
I haven't heard you guys discuss this before.
Neither have I. That's why I'm asking. Go ahead.
But it sounds to me like when you say subconsciously omniscient, because to me the subconscious is that which is less than or below consciousness, right? So I think that might just be the wrong word. I might be nitpicking. But when you say that Jesus became I don't remember exactly how you phrased it, encased in the human genome, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would say that the human genome is not all that human is. And so there's something more to humanity than our physical vessel and our genetic makeup. And those things are actually primary. Our genetic makeup and our physical genome are secondary to our person. And so that's really the only distinction that I would probably make. Am I following what your objection would be, David?
Somewhat. Dale, what do you remember me exactly saying? I don't want to go against myself, because I honestly don't have the notes here. And I don't want to.
No problem.
What off the top of your head was on your mind about what I said?
Well, basically, there's a well-known heresy type thing.
Apollinarianism.
Apollinarianism. So I just basically that's kind of saying, well, look, you're saying Jesus. It's very simple. Jesus, in a divine sense, he was a person that became embodied or had a divine mind, right? But a lot of people, from my understanding, want to say, no, well, there's a such thing as a human soul or a human mind, and I think that's just Greek philosophy. No, there's just a mind. Our mind is the same as God's. It's just a level of degrees in terms of knowledge and stuff like that. So, no, he was a mind and a person that became embodied in a physical body governed by the human genome. That is the human nature. That's what a human being essentially is. He doesn't need to have a human soul or a human mind. There's no such thing. But
so is mind and soul equivalent for you?
No, mind is a faculty of the soul. Just like our spirit is our spirit is the faculty of the soul that allows us to relate or know God, kind of thing. So
all I can say is that a lot of this is addressed when people talk about the hypostatic union, right? So there is that idea of the hypostatic union that describes Christ being completely human and completely God, right? So where I joke with you about Apollinarianism, I also tell you that you're not an Apollinarian either. Exactly. You're different. I understand Craig's theology on this. I disagree with it to an extent because I don't think none of us have really figured out exactly how this works. Honestly,
that's what I was asking.
So do I right now? If I was in the study right now, I'd be able to tell you exactly what I believed on this if I could go back and just review all my notes. But I would say that there is this idea of Jesus being completely human and completely God, right? So how this works off the top of my head, I'm not exactly sure because I don't have the notes in front of me, and I study so many other things that I wouldn't want to misspeak. But I think that something happened at the incarnation, and that hypostatic union took place. And is there this complete, like you said, is there some sort of subconsciousness? Jesus is ignorant subconsciously of things. No, I don't think so. I don't think he is, but I think he employs his human nature and basically says, no, this is not what I'm here for. And you see him doing this in several other areas where he's like, it's not my time yet. It's not my time to do this. It's not my time to do that.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of that also goes into that. Now that I know that's not a full answer right now, but like, we could talk about it further on that. And just for the audience, we all hold to an hypostatic union that Jesus is fully God and fully man. So, yeah, it's just how we come to describe that.
I'm curious about something that Josh actually said. So, Josh,
I was going to address that. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm in your favorite book, buddy, Hebrews 10:5. And so he says, sacrifice and offering. So the author of Hebrews is quoting the Old Testament here. Sacrifice and offering you do not share, but a body you prepared for me. Whole burnt offerings and sin offerings you took no delight in. Then I said, here I am, I have come. It is written of me in the scroll of your book to do your will, O God. And so I'm just curious, what more encompasses humanity, Josh? I'm not disagreeing with you or anything like that. I'm just curious what more it would entail humanity than the human genome, for example.
So it's Josh.
Are you talking? You're asking Dale. Never mind.
No, I was asking you, Josh, but Dale, if you want to jump in first, and then Josh, I want your
if it's
opinions
for
on
Josh.
it.
Josh can go ahead.
All right, Josh, you go, and then Dale jump in.
I would say that the way that we reduce the word body is probably our problem.
Okay.
I think that genome is a modern terminology to describe something that would be wholly irrelevant to ancient people, because what we mean by that is DNA and replication patterns and subtle traits and epigenetics and things like that.
They'd be really like, Delta knew what?
These are things that weren't exactly either known or even relevant to them.
Right, exactly.
They become relevant to us because we see them as determinative factors in what we are as human beings.
Yeah.
And so these are people that would have thought about this as the body is a holistic thing that encompasses everything, including the metaphysics. And I think that that's probably where we make that imaginary separation between soul, spirit, and body.
Right.
That's imaginary. That's not a real separation. It's one that we've made because of the abstraction that science allows us, but it's not real.
Can I ask a question to you, Josh? And this is probably where we depart a little bit. You said that those things weren't really like genome and stuff weren't really irrelevant or really relevant. And I do agree with that to some extent, but there was a idea of this, and that comes with like sayings like life is in the blood, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like there is something that they knew that maybe, we haven't emphasized, or maybe they, we're seeking them to emphasize that we would like to get an answer on. What do you think about that? Like life is in the blood. So there is an obvious philosophy that was there. Maybe it just hasn't been really revealed yet or what, but there's something there.
Josh, before you answer that real quick, I just want to tell our listeners, if you like what you're hearing, please make sure to give us a like, a thumbs up, subscribe, hit that big old red subscribe button with the bell right next to it. Click it, click all, and you'll be notified every time Faith Unaltered goes live. We are this close, y'all, to 1,000 subscribers. So I'm encouraging y'all, if you have not subscribed yet, please do. Josh, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Go ahead, brother.
Also, if you guys want to join us, I'm putting the link in there now. If you want to come on the show, I'm pasting it in there now. You're more than likely to hit that link, and we will have you on the show with us, and you can ask us questions. This is an open mic, guys. You can come on if you want.
Go ahead, Josh.
So I might have forgotten the specifics of the question. The life is in the blood. Are you asking what that means? Basically?
Yeah, I want to know, like, from an ancient perspective, what do you think that means? I think we're missing something here, and I think we're missing something. Obviously, I think they're onto something, and I think that there was some philosophy behind it.
I would say there was at least an intuition of understanding that maybe wasn't as articulate as philosophers would like it to be, and it was connected to the lived experience of being human more so than it was to a set of propositions that are just floating in the abstraction of our own thinking. And when we say the life is, or when the scripture says the life is in the blood, it was talking about in the context of not consuming blood because the life is in the blood. And I think that this is the same thing as the myth of vampirism comes from. It's the idea that to consume, to eat, has in itself a symbolism that is much bigger than our mere biology and intaking food and it becoming part of our body. That's part of it, and it's analogous to what it is that we would understand eating to be. But I think these things go much deeper into intuition than they do into articulation, and so that's why they're represented imagistically in symbolism or in ritual participation in things like the Eucharist, the communion, and things like that. We're eating, we're taking in the Christ life. That doesn't biologically mean that Jesus is in bread or in wine. I don't think that's a necessity for that claim, but it does mean that what Jesus meant by my body and my blood, right? That the life is in the blood. So excuse me, that these things have a real correspondence to meaning and reality, even if they can't be quantified or explained away by science, because biology is a study of in science. Biology and all sciences are observable regularity, right? And I don't think that there's an observable regularity of bread and wine becoming divine, but there's something true about it that's higher than what science can provide for us.
So maybe so maybe like something like like, okay, we know there's a correlation, but we don't exactly know what.
Or maybe
as far as an ancient people goes, because
maybe
like
not a
okay,
correlation in the traditional sense. I think probably what it would be is that there's a meaning that we don't access by simply being critical of something.
Right. Because I know me and you often try to combine the two when we talk. We try to combine the whole idea of this logic and meaning and stuff like that. We try to find a harmony there. But like, here's my thing. And when I was in training as a in the security field and stuff like that, we got taught early on that you don't die because you got shot. You die because you lost the blood. So I mean, it's just something there that's more to it than that. It's more.
Well, I'm not saying that there
it.
isn't. I'm not saying that there isn't a correspondence between the symbolic meaning or the real meaning of something
and the actuality
and biology, because biology is part of the reality God made.
Exactly.
Right?
And that's where I think we agree then. Yeah.
But I would say that biology as a study is subservient to meaning. It doesn't give us meaning.
Right. No. I would say that and here's maybe we would disagree here. I think that the biology could enhance the meaning and that it could play into the meaning. So I think they could work in tandem, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But it's interesting. I do want to get Dale on this, but Josh, if you have anything to say on this too, you can jump back in.
Just the last thing that I would say is probably that when we see things in scripture that can have their, let's say, the same kind of correspondences they would have to biology, they have to other mythos, right? Where you have this the pattern or the texture of what it would look like to have a story about a devouring mother or about a vampiric creature or about like zombies, for example, or something similar, where they have to consume life in order to synthesize life. They're not of themselves living. A vampire is a creature that's eternal only insofar as it devours innocence, right? And so there's something about all of these things kind of coming together symbolically that allows for those things to have a real meaning, and that can inform our living and our understanding that don't have to be biological categories. It's just not necessary. That's not to say biology is useless or invalid or something like that. It's just to say that it's a different category of thinking. It's a completely different, it's a separate thing to me.
Let me ask you,
they combined? Could they be combined in the thought process? Could they be combined? Could they be like, okay, I'm thinking about this and this at the same time? Sorry, Tyler, go ahead. You can answer that later.
That's basically what I was going to ask. Could they be two different pieces of the puzzle? I mean, can biology add to the conversation something that what you're talking about, Josh, maybe even the symbolic couldn't, and then whenever you put the two pieces together, they make the full picture?
No, I would say that biology becomes something like a picture of what symbolism is trying to convey. But I wouldn't say that it informs anything that symbolism hasn't already done.
Okay. Dale?
The reason we understand it is because it falls into that narrative understanding that we have. That's what makes it livable and useful and relevant to us, is that it falls within that framework.
Mhm.
And it can like, let's say medicine is something that is part of that structure as well. But medicine does more than a story. But we live within the framework of a story. Like, if I need medicine, right? Like, my family would pursue medicine because I'm valuable to them because of the part I play in their life,
Mhm.
right? It's like there's a lot that goes into this that I'm probably explaining this badly because my head is foggy and I'm sick. But I think that when we look at biology as a thing, it's a study of observable regularity, whereas symbolism is something that is an ongoing patterning that's much bigger than any instance anecdotally. It's something that
Right.
extends throughout history in a way that biology is very new. It's very, very new. And it gives us a lot of things that we can say, oh, this makes sense of that.
Mhm.
But then it also gives us something that allows us to try, especially in the materialistic way that we think often as modern people, to explain away things. And we'd use this reductionistic language like, it's just this, or it's only that. And then we dismiss meaning by doing that. And I think that that's a mistake. But
You
I don't think that biology is not useful because of that. I think that it needs to be appropriated within the framework of our living. So
Right.
that's all.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, and then Dale, I want your opinion on this as well. But could it be the lens by which we view biology through now? Like you said, because you said biology is new, which biology, in the way we see it now, is very new. I'm not absolutely, but biology itself, right, is very, very old. And so, given the fact that existing or dealing with the material, right, we've been material since God created, right, and so maybe the lens by which we view biology now does do what you're saying, right? But I guess what I'm trying to add, and maybe I side with David on this a little bit too, is combining the two to form the bigger picture, right? That may be expressed symbolically.
Is this
Well,
for me or Josh? Oh, okay.
No, I was just adding my thoughts to it.
Oh
But
yeah,
Dale,
no. I
you
was
can go
gonna
ahead.
say, like, Tyler, like, you're on the same thought frame as me on this, and like, I couldn't agree with you more. Biology's old too. I mean, people have been trying to figure out how it works. I mean, the Romans had a form of brain surgery. I mean, come on, the idea of biology, I mean, is very old. But yeah, I would love to hear Dale on this real quick.
Yeah.
Before
So
anything.
I just noted down three things again related to the question about the soul and that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
okay, so the first thing about the language. So Josh is absolutely right here that no one in the Bible would have given this definition of what is the human nature, and it's because they don't think in that's philosophical terms that came later on. But there's no problem with using later notions in biology or philosophy to help make sense of what the Bible's talking about. So we do this with the Trinity. The word Trinity is not there, right? So with the New Testament, we have like the divine identity thesis. It's more concerned with who God is, and it's not until the second century that we get into, well, what is God? What is the Trinity? And that's where philosophy comes in. So it's the same here with the soul. I think and bringing in biology and DNA, that can still be a part of the human essence, even if no one in biblical times would have known what DNA is. So that's my first point, is that we are allowed to learn more about questions the Bible doesn't tell us about, and think that that's the truth, and see how, as long as it's not inconsistent with the Bible, then it's a viable thing. The second thing I wanted to raise, so Tyler asked in the beginning of all this, he was asking, like, what beyond just DNA? Like, am I just proposing the human nature is nothing, as John Lennox says, the nothing buttery problem, right? It's nothing but the body governed by the human genome. No.
I can't believe it's not butter.
Is that made with Canadian milk? But yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I think that's what I was
Canadian
talking
bacon.
about with that. I think that's what I was talking about with that reductionism that we're kind of prone to do to everything. If you listen to like modern scientists that go, like, especially popularizers, they'll look at something that we find deeply meaningful and say, well, it's actually just this thing. It's like, you're a dummy for that.
Yeah, exactly. And so bear in mind what I said, right? So what I think the human nature is, it's a person that is embodied in a body governed by the human genome. So that person, that's where our mind, our spirits and stuff like that comes, all of our faculties that make us who we are, kind of thing as well, right? And that's what survives our bodily death. Um, Now, one thing I wanted to agree with Josh, this is the third and last thing, is there are different models or understandings of what the soul is. So I don't necessarily take a traditional Cartesian understanding of the soul, where it's, oh, you're a ghost in the machine, you have the soul and you have your body, and they're two separate substances.
Right.
No, I take something along a holistic approach. It's called, in philosophy, it's called a Thomistic or metaphysical Aristotelian understanding of substance dualism, where the body is actually a part of your soul. It's like your soul provides the blueprint, and your body develops through the genome and stuff like that physically. So while we're alive, it's actually a part of our soul, type thing. So that's a new view that's popular in the intelligent design movement, for example. So yeah, those are the three things I just wanted to contribute.
Real quick, Dale, is that somehow different than physicalism, or are the two kind of in the same camp?
Oh, it's radically different than physicalism. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we are an immaterial soul that takes on and manifests a mode as part of ourselves as in a physical mode type thing, right? So
right, you take the whole C.S. Lewis idea that we're not just bodies, but we're souls with bodies, and that
I'm
kind
not
of
a body that has a
out.
soul.
That's
I'm a
right.
soul that has a body.
That's
Exactly.
right. You're right. Yeah, I tried to sum it up. You did it a lot better, Josh. But yeah,
I wonder
exactly.
if we
That's really interesting. That's good.
I wonder if we overcomplicate it. I mean, think about the Old Testament picture of what a human is, right? It's dust from the earth and the breath of God, or the breath of life blown into that thing, right? And so I don't know. I guess I'm not trying to add anything here, but just that, do you guys think, and David, I want your opinion on this too, but do you think that philosophy, given that, philosophy is old, I mean, it goes back and it develops over the centuries, this, that, and the other, right? Do you think we've overcomplicated it?
I think we can overcomplicate it. But I also think that there's a lot of truth to it. I mean, the way this is how I've been taught in school and education system is that, there's, in reality, we got philosophy, which contains our theologies and all this stuff. And then you got epistemology, right? You got those two that really inform us on the way reality works. Dale, I don't know if that's what you were taught.
Yeah.
So okay. So these things are kind of like the words we use to describe, I guess, the starting point, right? So, so I would say yes, we can overcomplicate things, right? But I also think that I can come to the same conclusion that Dale did just now when you're saying that we're dust, we're breath, God breathes and stuff like that. So you got the soul, and then it's part of this body because this is how God initiates it. And, I think it all melds together very well. And I think that philosophy is quite good.
Would you guys see something different? So let me just ask you this real quick, David. Would you see the breath of life being different than the soul, or how would you view that?
I would say that it could give way to what we know as the soul. I think there could be some formation that goes involved in it, and I wouldn't have this. Like I said, I'm off the cuff right here, so I'm saying that
into the dust, we become a living soul. Right?
Yes,
all of us holistically. So
yes, I think it. Dale said it perfectly. Holistically, how it can all interact together and become that.
Okay. BJ,
it's interesting.
In the comments here, he says that that's not actually a Lewis quote. It's falsely, incorrectly attributed to Lewis.
It is. It's actually older than Lewis, but it's attributed to Lewis because of how he
popularized it.
He had popularized it. Yeah.
Going back to what Tyler said specifically about humanity being the combination of the matter, the maternal world, right? Matter. Mother Earth is what we would call it, right? The
That's
matter
gross.
that is
Don't
below,
say that again.
the dust that is underneath, right? And that
Yeah.
which is above, which is God's breathing spirit, right? We had
Incarnation.
Ruma, right? Or Pneuma, right? Ruach, which is Nafesh, which is the breathing, right? These things are immaterial in some sense to the ancient mind. It wasn't the same thing as earth or solid stuff, right? And so this is what I mean by those different categories. We've separated things so far that we think that because we have more facts that we're more true. And I just don't think that's necessarily true. I think that Tyler kind of hit it on the head by asking about the combination of that which is transcendent or above, God breathing into that which is below, and the combination of those two things, the meeting place of heaven and earth being humanity, is something that sets us utterly apart. And the combination of those two things is what we mean by soul, right?
Yeah.
Like what we mean by a living thing, right? But not just a thing that contains a special kind of nefesh, God's breathing, right? Where we have this spark or this thing. It's hard to find language to, it's hard to find language to qualify this because we're doing it in a different way than they would have done then.
Right.
But when we get so specific as to say humanity is set apart from creation, we're utterly distinct because we're made in his image, right? Like, I think that that's something that's much more important than what our DNA or genetic makeup is necessarily. I think that plays a part in it, obviously, in the modern world, because we have relevant details about it now that they didn't have then. But in some sense, because all creation that is organic has a form of DNA, right? Especially things that have blood have a form of DNA that is relatively similar to humanity in a way that is less set apart in biology than it is in theology. And so I just don't think that that can inform us as much as the things that what Tyler brought up, which is the scripture makes this distinction big. It's a big distinction. It's not a little one. And yet I share like 98% of my DNA with a fly. Like, that's not enough of a distinction, right? But it's a biological distinction. This is all biological information. So that's all I mean by, like, it's different. It's just a different thing. It's a different way of thinking about this.
Yeah, I like it. BJ, again, we need to get this guy on the show. I've seen him in the comments on a couple shows now, and I'd love to, BJ, I'd love for you to come on and chit-chat with us in real time. He says, blood breath, this is good. I never thought of biology like modern-day biology in the Bible, as they didn't think in our categories and lines of thought. So this is a good discussion. So are we, do we want to continue this train of thought, or do we want to go ahead and, I did?
Is that me or yeah? Josh is still moving. I think Tyler froze.
Oh, no,
I'm good with moving on if you want to.
Let's move on, man. We got a year in review.
Froze? Or do I look like an idiot right now?
You're good, bro. I see you just fine.
All right. Good.
Honestly, I mean, so we went to we got Rob and David on.
Rob?
I
got his book, by the way.
Launch.
I got both their books.
Yeah, they're
good stuff.
We pre-launched with those guys, and they did a phenomenal job. Like Tyler said, they're like, it's the highest viewed Faith Unaltered series there was.
Yep.
And that was a pre-launch debate.
And we're only in our first 6 months, y'all.
Right. So let's talk about that. Let's jump into that.
What was the topic of this?
The topic was, is the Sabbath required for Christians to keep?
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And David Wilbur has a book on this. It's called Remembering the Sabbath. And I've got it. I have not went through it yet. He's going to kill me if he sees this. But sorry, David, I have not had a chance to go through your book yet. Been trying to get this Greek stuff done, brother. So that's my reasoning. And that's what caused me to do that. Anyway, I'm just kidding. But no, I love... So, guys, so what started... I'll just say this, and then we can talk about it a little bit. But what started that debate is David and I, like he had said, we had just got on TikTok. And y'all, the first people that we came in contact with was the Torah observant Christianity movement. And I had heard a little bit about this movement before, And we're not talking like Hebrew roots or anything like that, even though I think they would fall kind of into that category, maybe a little bit. There's definitely a connection there, but I don't think it's right to say that all Torah observant Christians are Hebrew roots movement, right? I don't think that's right at all. And so anyway, long story short, we had started discussing the Torah observant problem in our view anyway, and David and I's view. I don't know how you guys kind of feel about that, but which led to us connecting with both Rob Solberg, who's wrote 2 books on this now. I know one, his more famous one is Torahism, where he goes through and tries to rebut, and I think successfully rebut some of the Torah observant claims and this, that, and the other. But then we ran into David Wilbur, who's a phenomenal guy. I love David to death. He's very, very friendly, very cool dude. We chat from time to time on Facebook and Messenger and through email and stuff. But we got these 2 guys together, and y'all, I ain't gonna say, even though I'm on Rob's side with this debate, I am on Rob's side. I think David did a phenomenal job. And if y'all have not seen that debate, you should go check it out. Like, it's one of our first videos on Faith Unaltered. Don't scroll all the way down, because this used to be proselytize or apostatize channel, or apostatize. Yeah, anyway, that it's a mouthful, David. It's a mouthful. So glad you shortened that to Pora. But if you scroll down to where you stop seeing Faith Unaltered stuff, then you've went too far. But I'll post a link for anyone that wants to catch that debate. It's still gaining traction. People are still posting and commenting on that video. So I love to see that the algorithms have kind of picked that up and taken it off into the sea of YouTube. And so, guys, Josh, I don't know if you've seen that video or not, but what did you think about it altogether, and how did it impact you? You're muted, brother. Buddy. Can't believe it's not buddy.
Yeah. I was gonna say, to be honest with you, this is a field that I'm almost wholly ignorant in, so I don't really have much useful to say.
Yeah.
Other than I specifically remember enjoying the way that debate felt so informative, and still left room for me to go, huh. You know, like I like when you have a good discussion that makes you want to go, I should ask more questions about that. Why have I not asked more questions about that? Unfortunately, I have failed to ask more questions about that since then.
Yeah.
So I don't really have much to add. But you know, other than I agree with you wholeheartedly that both debaters was like, I can see why it got the most views. Like I get it. I am not at all surprised that got the most views. It was really good. But I don't have enough specifics to say anything useful.
Fair enough. Dale?
Yeah, so I think I'm sort of similar to Joshua. Again, nothing like really specific to say, but I obviously, I think, side with Rob in the sense that I don't believe we have to be Torah observant. I think that's pretty clear, in my opinion, in terms of the New Testament. And I mean, we have the teaching on the kosher laws with Peter in Acts 10. We have Paul. So to my mind, it seems pretty clear. And in terms of the Sabbath day, I don't see why we have to honor go to church on Saturday. Jesus was risen on Sunday. And the whole point is we're taking out one day, whether it's Saturday or Sunday. It doesn't have to be one day or the other kind of thing. You're taking out that one day to honor God and worship him and stuff. So I don't see that it has to be Saturday that we're worshiping on. Yeah.
You know, I think I'll just say this a little bit about since Dave and I moderated that debate. You know, at the end of it all, I think David had the one up. Now, I'm not going to say he won the debate. I'm going to say that he had the one up and why I say that is because Rob had presented a case that stated pretty much verbatim that if you want to keep the Sabbath, it is not a sin to keep the Sabbath, right? It's not a sin to keep the Sabbath. There's no direct command in the Bible, in the New Testament, that says thou shalt not keep the Sabbath, right? Going King James on you guys. But that's where David, I think, had the one up, is he said, you know, if it's not sinful, then try it. At least try it and see, you know, kind of what happens. Now,
Go ahead. Sorry, I'll shut up.
No, I want your thoughts, but let me say this and then I'll get your thoughts. But where I disagree with David is that he said that it's sin. And if you are not keeping the Sabbath, then necessarily you are living in sin. And that's where I disagree wholeheartedly with David. I have my reasons for that. And we can get into that maybe on another show. But that's just kind of my initial and closing thoughts on the entire thing. But Dale, what was you going to say?
It was just a uncontrolled reaction to one thing that I found ridiculous reasoning, like saying, if it's not a sin, try it. Well,
Yeah.
It's not a sin to go bungee jumping, but I haven't tried bungee jumping.
It's not a sin skydiving. I have done that.
I've done
I think
skydiving.
the opposite question would
love
be, is it a
skydiving.
sin not to? I think
And
that's
David
really the
would
more
say,
relevant question.
Yeah, of course not.
Yeah. VJ, but hold on. We should keep the Sabbath isn't try to keep the Sabbath. Well, here's the thing too, guys. Think about, and this is, I guess, a fundamental disagreement between David Wilbur and myself, is that whenever it comes to the law, what two reasons does the New Testament give us for why the law was even given in the first place? One, it was to show us that we can't keep the law, and for two, it was to point us to Christ. It was point us to Christ and love, right? So 3 reasons, right? Love. And it shows us that, primarily that y'all, none of us have done that. And this is exactly why we need Jesus. And so, if you're watching the show, this would be a great time to do, and you're not a Christian. If you're watching this and you're not a Christian, this would be a great gospel spiel, right? It's like, look, we are all in the same boat. We're all sinners in desperate need of the Savior. And the law shows us, I mean, just look at the 10 commandments. There's 613 commandments in the Old Testament, right? Look at just 10 of them. And I promise you, I know I can. Nope, haven't kept 1. Nope, haven't kept 2. Nope, all the way to number 10. And the problem is that God demands perfection. Who was perfect? Jesus. And Jesus died for our sins. Everyone watching this show and beyond, right? And so trust Christ. That is the mantra. That is the gospel message, right? Trust Jesus, that Jesus is king, that Jesus not only died on the cross, that's not where the story ends, but he rose from the grave 3 days later and is sitting at the right hand of the Father. What we was talking about earlier with Philippians 2, God exalted him to the name that is above every name. What name is that? Lord. And every knee will bow to that Lord. Every tongue will confess that Jesus is king. And what I said in my Christmas Eve service was, why wait? You're going to do it regardless one of these days. So why wait? Join the company of the saints, confess Christ as Lord, believe in your heart that he rose from the dead, and as Romans 10, 9 through 13 states, you will be saved.
A little example of what's coming when we present the gospel documentary. So
yeah, let's talk about that a little bit.
We will. We'll get to that. I think that debate was phenomenal.
Save the best for last.
Yes, we're just gonna save that. But yes, I think that debate was phenomenal. I think both guys did really good. So much respect for Rob. I love talking to Rob. He was, such a gracious person to talk to, and so was David. David was really good too.
Yep.
But yeah, so moving on from that, we do jump into the launch, Tyler, and we had a plethora of shows. I thought Paul Anderson. Now, this is the funniest thing. We had Dr. Paul Anderson on first, right?
Yep.
He was our pre-recorded show, and
you had to do in your car.
I had to do in my car because Tyler had some issues with Kelsey, and he had to dip. So
yeah,
he was like,
we had to
I
run
got
her
the
to
show.
the hospital tonight.
Night. He was like, I got the show, Dave. You just come on in the car. You're fine. And I stayed an extra hour in my car.
Was that the back injury?
No, that was the seizure.
That was a seizure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I was sitting there in the car. It was after 7. And I had gotten off. And I was like, okay, Tyler, I'm going to be with you because I want to be with you because this is going to be part of our launch event.
Yeah.
We want to get this good. Tyler was like, okay, I got StreamYard. I got all this stuff. I'm good. This and that. And then in the middle of the debate,
boom,
he was gone. I was just like, okay, well, I'm going to keep on with the interview.
Yeah.
And I learned so much from Dr. Paul Anderson on John and, the different scholarship and all the different scholarships that have gone into understanding the Gospel of John. And it was just it was eye-opening. You know, it confirmed a lot of things that I thought, and it also opened up a lot more new areas of study that I have to get into, because John is a phenomenal gospel, and it's something that we really need to take into consideration and not lay to the side like historians had done for hundreds of years, saying it was, you know, a late addition and this and that. No, it's
Right.
not. It's actually pretty early, and it's, you know, there's a lot to it. You know, there's a lot of theories behind it and how it came to be what it was today. So,
And he goes into that. He's got
Yeah.
a PDF, a free PDF on academia.com. It's called On Seamless Robes and Leftover Fragments. And
Right.
so check that out from Dr. Paul Anderson, because that was phenomenal. I want to get him back on the show. I think
Yeah.
we developed a good friendship with him in that time. I'd like to talk to him again on John. Dan
I
Wall-
would love to, and
Yeah.
I would love to, even like you said, Dan Wallace. I mean, I would love to have Dan Wallace on. This guy has pretty much given us the ancient text in digital form.
Yeah.
You know,
Dr.
but-
Wallace was the one who recommended Paul Anderson to
Right.
me on that one. So
right. And then we got
Bill
Nick
Mounts.
Latchley. We had Bill Mounts on Greek. That
Yeah.
was really great. You know, he was so nice. It was such a great interview. He was just so gracious.
I was
in talking to him.
shaking.
I know you. That was
He's
your guy.
Bro, yeah. I mean, he's
Yeah.
the one I did first year Greek with, right? And
Right,
so
right.
Mounts is basics of biblical Greek. And so
Right.
to actually talk to him and have that correspondence with him, to be able to ask him questions about Greek, bro, it ignited my fire. Like you was talking about a while ago, David, how I got, you know, back into Greek whenever we were doing, it was because of Dr. Mounts. Like,
Right.
I love the guy. So
I have an interesting question for you guys as the hosts.
yeah.
Okay, so yeah, obviously, out of the shows I watch, you guys always usually do great interviews and stuff like that.
Well, thank you,
I'm-
Dale.
Thank you.
You guys do amazing stuff with your series and stuff like that. But I want to ask you, do you each of you guys think there was an episode where you guys the episode didn't go quite according to plan, and you would like to do a redo at some point, or there's something you learned to improve based on that kind of thing?
See ya.
You don't have to call anyone out, but I'm just wondering in general.
In general, I think there's a lot of that goes into a lot of interviews, and I think even Davidson and Tyler would agree that
Yeah,
there
Tyler
are
took off.
times where we've got to like say, hey, look, we want these guys back on because there's some things that we didn't get to, and there's some things that we goofed on, you know. And there's been times where me and Tyler butt heads on it, and there's times where we have been like, man, we need to do this again. We need to get these guys back on, you know. So yeah, absolutely. This is a trial and error thing. This is not like you know, I thank you for saying that we do a great job, because there's a lot of times me and Tyler are like, did we do what we wanted to do? You know, we talk about it afterwards, and you know, yeah, we're like, okay, do we want to have these guys back on to explain this? And then, oh wow, they just opened us up to this topic, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there's a lot. There's a lot.
Josh, what show would you like to redo? I saw you laughing.
Like to redo, or
Yeah.
like
Or-
not to have ever happened?
Or not to have ever have happened. Let's do that, because
Either
we
way,
might
yeah.
agree on this one.
I already know
Jesse
mine.
Moral.
Which one?
Well, man, Tyler had this guy on that was basically this. He said that he was an informed universalist.
Jesse
He came
Bloomer.
on and basically was like, "No, bro, this is how scripture says things, and if you don't believe me, it's because you're a bloody like you're just making it up as you go. Meaning, like you're still saved or whatever, because you know God loves everybody, bro." It was bad. It was not good. Like it was not an informed episode, and it
Yeah.
didn't do anything to bring
So
bring
you-
clarity to anything.
He was Scottish then, judging from the accent.
He was
No, he was
Australian.
definitely
I know.
Australian.
I was just trying to be funny, but all right. cool.
Are you talking about the Jesse Bloomer?
Yes.
Bloomer, that's what it was. Yeah.
Jesse Bloomer. Yeah.
Oh, that was a great
Yeah.
episode, though. You know, for all his you know, the bad argumentation, I thought I got on Tyler, and Tyler can tell you this. I got on, I was like, Tyler, don't do another episode. I said, don't have Tyler Vela on. God, you guys don't need to expose this guy anymore. And I was like, I was like, y'all are picking on him at this point. And Tyler was like, well, we made everything public. We're doing it anyway. And I was like, all right,
he sounds
do it,
like
man. You got my support.
Yeah.
But
You
that's
guys
one of the
know-
ones I couldn't be there for.
Yeah.
Do you guys know Be Strong? Does that name ring any bells for any of you?
Be strong.
No. Oh my good. You have to go back. He was on like Unbelievable.
Okay.
Probably like 12 years ago or 13 years ago or something like that. Very your earliest days. And like just Justin Briley could for weeks afterwards, like he was exactly like what Joshua was saying. It's like, yo, man, Jesus, he was a fake. And Paul, he was mean. He bashes in the door. He's like, boom, I'm the Apostle Paul, man. And like he thinks he's making the most devastating arguments. And here he is debating a Christian biblical scholar. And like Justin's just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I remember that. I actually remember that. Yeah, I do. Because I've been with Unbelievable since its conception,
Yes, it's pretty much same here since like the first year. But
Yeah.
yeah, I guess for the audience, like just to be fair, like the one show that I wish I had never done, and it was just a disaster. I cringe with it is the Flat Earth show. So I had someone reach out to me, David Weiss.
You said the Flat Earth show. That was a bad one. I thought that was actually pretty funny.
Flat Earth Dave.
Well, yeah. So I had this naive thing. I wanted to have I wanted to show see, I can be respectful to flat earthers and take them seriously, and we don't have to treat them as a joke. Like they've got their arguments and we've got our things, and I wanted to show we don't need to mock people we strongly disagree with, and I was stuff like that didn't happen. There was insults happening. It was Teddy Pappas versus David Weiss, and it was I had no control. It was you
lost it, bud.
Yeah,
I was just like, poor Dale. They were going at it, man.
Okay, I'm gonna let it go and just get me some popcorn and I'll watch. But it was a
popcorn and I'll watch. I was like, what is Dale doing over there? Is he even moderating? But hey, look, we all have shows like that, and what I want to come back to though is I want to get back on track here because
hold on, I didn't even get to give mine.
Oh, give yours. Oh yeah, give yours.
Come on, man. All right, so my show that I wish Jesse Bloomer is definitely in the top of the list. I will say that, but there was a show that I actually did on CSG a long time ago, and Josh knows exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, his name just came to mind. But so this was back in my I don't know. I was between Cage and Sage Stave Calvinist on this one, but what separated me from a lot of the Calvinists that I had talked to was they believed that those who believed in free will were damned to hell. And I just rejected that. Yeah, Josh, you know who I'm talking about.
Toby
Emmanuel. Yeah. And so that was oh my, it was horrible. It was horrible. It was so bad. So check this out. Dr. Leighton Flowers actually did a response to this video and had two Calvinists on his little picture that was saying no and yes. Oh, it was priceless. But that would be the episode because it started at the bottom of the barrel and it just went further down.
It broke out the bottom, huh?
Oh man, it did. It broke out to the bottom and seeped to the depths of hell on that one, man. But I would not do that episode ever again.
I know a lot of people that really enjoyed that though. I'm not gonna lie, there were people that came out of Calvinism that listened to that and were like, I sounded like that once. What is wrong with me? It's so shameful.
Well, it tripped me out because you had texted me a couple of days later and was like, bro, Dr. Flowers is doing an episode on your video. And I'm just like, no. And then I saw it and I was like, oh, wow, that's really, really
Dude,
cool.
I'll be honest with you. Here's mine. And I didn't get to go, but okay, so I'm going to tell you guys a little, a story where I totally fell apart. Right. And at this time I had just started podcasting.
Yeah.
And I had Titus with me, and Titus came over to the house. I cooked them all this immaculate dinner, man.
For those who don't know, real quick, who's Titus?
Titus is the first co-host of Pora. He's the one that came up with Pora. Right. So he's the one that got me into podcasting. So and doing this. And I mean, we used to do live with people in studio. So we used this man cave to have discussions. We had Sam Richards, who is our Jewish guy, and Rob Lumberg. He came over a couple times, and we just hung out and we would discuss these things. Well, we had Jordan, Jordan,
Yep.
our atheist guest that we have on a lot.
Reasons to doubt.
Yeah, he came up to my house to have a discussion with me on the Kalam.
Nice.
Well, I prepared this immaculate dinner, right, for Titus and his family before the discussion. And dude, I was so stressed out trying to make sure everything was perfect for them that by the time it was time for me to actually debate, I was so tired that I just fell apart. I just started not feeling good. My notes got lost. And Jordan was so gracious. And this is why I love having atheists like Jordan, because he was just like, dude, I understand what you went through, and let's just do he used a golf term, but let's just do a redo. And we did a redo, and the redo went great. But that first debate, I was lost. I was just like, I just fell apart. And that was like probably the worst experience that I have ever had, because I think the stress really got to me.
Yeah.
I started not feeling good, and it was like I didn't even recover till like 2 days later, because I don't know if I got sick. I didn't know what was going on with me. I really didn't. But like the whole thing, it was wild, and like that was probably my worst experience on a podcast. Was that you get it, I had all these people come into my house. I even cooked a dinner for my guests, my first guests, and I just couldn't get it together. And Braxton Hunter, actually, the president of the university I go to, said, "Hey, look, if you don't lose a debate, if you don't get totally flustered like that, if stuff like that doesn't happen, then there's a problem. You can't win them all. You can't go against everybody and expect to win a debate. That's not what it's for.
Yeah.
You're trying to talk to people. You're just trying to get the information out there and this and that." And he's like, so yeah. So after that, and after a while, I felt better. But yeah, that was probably the worst experience I had on a podcast.
You mentioning that actually made me think of one more, and then we can move on. I know Josh has got to go, and I got to run too. But so one that I wish that I never participated in the first place, and that has nothing to do with the guy whatsoever. I love David Paulman to death, but I had a debate with David Paulman, and matter of fact, it is still on Practical Reasons. Cole, what is his last name? Cole. I forget his last name. Anyway, Practical Reason, Practical Reasons, I think, or Practical Truth. Anyway, long time ago. And so this was whenever I was first getting into apologetics, and I thought I was just the shizness. Okay. And I was like, a list of some James White debates, I got this dude. And so I had posted about doing a debate on limited atonement, and David Paulman actually responded to it. And so we got everything set up. I went in half cocked and just like, yeah. BJ says you debated Paulman. I did. And he stomped me. He wiped the floor with my tears, bro. Like, I'm not even kidding. So it was so bad. Listen. It was so bad. We didn't redo it. It was so bad that they had to cut out the entire cross-exam portion and only left up the opening statements because I melted during the cross-exam portion. He started hitting me with questions, bro. And I'm just like, the first time I said, I don't know, it was, I don't know to every other question. And we're live. People are watching, and I'm just melting. I was so embarrassed. And oh man, it was bad. I told David, I said, look, bro, I would love to have this conversation with you, but not in debate form. I was not ready by any stretch of imagination. And after that first 10, because he was questioning me on the first 10 minutes. And after that first 10 minutes, Cole was so cool. He was like, you got any questions for David? I was like, dude, I'm not going to be on, or I'm going to be honest.
Guys,
I'm not ready for this. And I quit. I left halfway through the debate while it was
What-
still being live streamed.
You know, and it's so funny because at that time, Paulman was my co-host.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
you
I
didn't
think
even know.
so.
Like, Paulman was my co-host on Pora.
Yeah.
And, like, because Titus left, Paulman took over. And, you know, David Paulman's just an awesome guy, you know.
I love David.
But, yeah, I mean, he's a fierce debater. I knew that when so here's the story. Titus ended up saying, hey, I want you to meet this guy, David Paulman. He said he wanted to, you know, take over my spot. So I said, okay. So we had him debate Reasons to Doubt Jared. From Reasons to Doubt, Jordan's co-host, and they did a debate on intelligent design. Well, David comes in and he's dressed up, suit, tie, everything, like he's ready for this debate.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, this is not kind of like what we are. We're just kind of like, you know, coffee cup type guys. You know, we just chill out, right? And then they had this debate, and I was like, yep, I want that guy as my co-host. You know, he's awesome. You know, David's still awesome. You know, I love him. I keep in touch with him today. But yeah, so if you want to look at any Pora episodes, me and Paulman actually, you know, we had a lot of great episodes.
Yeah.
One of them actually, one of the top discussions that even is on this channel is from the King James only debate that we hosted with James Slutter and I can't remember the next one, but yeah, we had I think it was Berg, but yeah, we had great debates and discussions and interviews. We interviewed J. Warner Wallace, we interviewed Gary Habermas, thanks to Dale Glover.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like it was wild, and it kind of like prompted me and him to people to contact us and want to get them on their show, like Skeptics and Seekers, and that's how I met Dale. And anyways, so just moving on real quick. Let's just move on real quick. We got to
real quick. Just let me clarify.
Yep.
It was Cole Perkins, and the YouTube channel was Practical Faith. Sorry about that, Cole.
Okay. Right on.
I think that debate was the only time I've ever been like, man, I have so much respect for the guy who lost this debate.
Oh, thanks.
Because I don't think I've ever seen anybody be like, oh, this is bad. I was unprepared. I should walk away while it's still cool instead of losing my cool.
Yeah.
Right. Like that is big. That's a big deal. You are a superhuman for that.
Everybody was so nice after that, bro. Like, I'm not like they were like, "Oh, you did." They even Cole and David even texted me after the fact, and they were like, "Dude, do you want that even shown?" I was like, "Yeah, I did it. I signed up for this. You know, show it." They're like, "Well, here's what we'll do. We'll leave your opening statements and your rebuttals on, and then we'll take everything else off." And I'm like, "Whatever works, guys."
Whatever.
I said I ain't going to like deny that. So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, but as far as your interview, we went to we had our opening event. Dale, you had the Evil God Challenge. If you want to comment on that real quick, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. So like I said, that was kind of the topic that was interesting to me. The topic of my master's paper or thesis there. And it's because when I was an unbeliever, that issue, believe it or not, caused me the most doubts because it everything hinged on it, right? If God is evil, then everything, the evidence in favor for the resurrection, it could all be a trick or something like that. So I felt that the weak version of the argument was the strongest argument that there was to undermine my faith. So I wanted to do a deep dive into it and kind of see, you know, what are the best responses out there to it, and also develop my own two responses kind of thing. Basically, I said that there are a couple of asymmetries only a good God could ever create, given that he is a real maximal being, either of a good or evil variety. Only a good God could create in the first place. And then I came up with an axiological asymmetry as well. So, you know, based on a good God is more valuable than an evil God. And then I argued basically for like this principle of optimalism, which would say, well, if a good God's more valuable than an evil God, then he must exist, kind of thing. So yeah, that was my take on the Evil God Challenge. What was
right on. That was great. You know, I love the presentation, like I said, and it's one that I love to go back to and just listen to every once in a while. Just the philosophy, the thoroughness that you put into it was, I thought, great. We also had Caleb and Travis with the Odyssey, which was really good, and Josh actually got Sherman and Garrett on for the narrative structure, which I thought was phenomenal show. And then we ended the night with a debate between Michael Granado and Jonathan McLatchy, which was really good. But I kept in touch with Granado. Granado's a great guy, man. And if you guys haven't looked him up, Michael Granado, I've been on his show again recently. We're planning on something in the future, but we just don't know when the time is gonna hit us back. And Granado is a great guy. So if you want to listen to some of his stuff and challenge him, go for it. But then we got into Old Earth, Young Earth, right? We did that as our series. Tyler came up and visited me. We even actually got to host a show together live in my living room.
Yeah.
Downstairs. We actually busted out the lights and everything, man. We went studio lights and everything on that one, and that was really fun. We had a open mic, and then we had Rob Rowe come in, and that was really cool. And we discussed Young Earth, Old Earth. Tyler, where do you stand with the whole idea of this whole Young Earth, Old Earth?
Do you even have to ask?
Of course.
No.
I want to hear it.
People need to go watch those shows if they want to know where I'm Young Earth all the way. So
yep, there he is. So we got and we both didn't change our minds, but we had clashes on this. This was like, we had Hugh Ross on a few times. We had I think we had Hugh Ross as one of our most concurrent sorry guests. He came on like three times, for us. Was it 4? I know. I thought it was 3 because we did the aliens and then we did the flood and the Young Earth, Old Earth. But
I thought
which one are you thinking?
4. I could be wrong. So,
but Reasons to Believe has been so gracious to us.
Yeah,
they jump on as soon as we send an email, and that is one thing I got to say about their publicists that was phenomenal is that their publicists jump on stuff right away, and they get people to talk to us right away, and we have access to all their scholars. So in the future, you're going to see even more from Reasons to Believe. It's not going to be Young Earth, Old Earth. It might be other things, So, So Tyler,
my favorite convo with Dr. Ross was definitely the Angels and Aliens one, bro. Like I absolutely loved it. And not only did we have Dr. Hugh Ross on, we had also Dr. Marcus Ross on to purport about and to argue for the Young Earth. And so I like that. We had Dane Von Ace come on with us for the first couple episodes to talk about Young Earth and Noah's flood. And then after that, we had those concurrent episodes with Dr. Hugh Ross. And then somewhere in the mix, we got Dr. Marcus Ross in on that. So that was a fun
dude. I love Dane. Dane is a phenomenal guest, so gracious every time. And I even had him on Pora. So if you guys want to look at some of the stuff Dane throws out, you can look up our previous episodes and see what Dane has. He's very gracious. Probably one of the best guys I know as far as being a social media friend. I love Dane. With all my heart, even though me and him disagree on some things, we both love Jesus, and Dane loves God. And it's so evident in just everything he says. Yeah. But guys, what did you guys think of the whole Young Earth, Old Earth? Dale, Josh?
I was just gonna say, like, don't forget, January 16th, we're having one more in that series. We're bringing on Bob Rucker, who's not known for these types of debates at all, right? He's a shroud expert, a nuclear engineer. But he's kind of got like a view in between. So he's an old earther, but he believes in a global flood for Noah's flood. So, he reconciles.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's a view I'd never even heard of before. So,
yeah,
I think we're going to be doing a joint show January 16th. So
absolutely, and we are going to have that. It's gonna we'll even put it under our creation, our Young Earth, Old Earth discussions as something for you guys to see. And me and Tyler even said, hey, look, we're not going to focus on this, but we'll come back to it here and there. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, we dived into that. And then Tyler got this wild idea. Freaking Fowler. Go figure. He got this wild idea to have Chris Date and Tim Stratton come on and debate determinism. What in the world? Besides, okay, so we were doing Halloween stuff, and me and him were looking for like demonologists and stuff like that to get on the interview in this. And we just said, you know what? Let's talk about angels, demons, and other things.
Molinism.
And then next thing you know, he's like, let's talk Molinism. So we got this huge debate. And it was one of our catalyst debates, I think, with Chris Date and Tim Stratton. And these guys, I mean, Tim came on first to talk about Molinism, mere Molinism, and stuff like that. And we had such a great time with Tim. Tim Stratton, guys, if you haven't had him on a show, if you haven't talked to him, I mean, this guy is just such a great person to talk to, you know? And he is one of my college professors, so is Chris Date. But, like, these guys are phenomenal, and we had them on to discuss determinism and free will. And Tyler, I'm going to let you talk about it a little bit because you kind of organized this one. And yeah.
So a lot.
Before you do, can I say in mention during the old Earth, young Earth conversation, the one that blew my mind most was meeting Rob Rowe.
Yeah.
That guy, like, I don't think I've ever heard anybody that was like somebody I could identify with that I had never met, never heard anything from, and heard him being like, oh yeah, no, this is this, like all these different things, rapid fire shots off. Was like, yeah, hey, that's my train, bro. Like, yeah, I really enjoyed that. But anyway, go.
Rob's awesome, man. Rob is really good. And I just realized, Josh, you didn't say much about the OEC young Earth. What did you come away with?
I came away with that it's probably a needless argument that has divided people more than anything else, and that I'm still I couldn't care lessist.
Right on. All right, Tyler, go ahead, man.
No, I could agree with that, bro. Like, I think that's a really interesting take on the entire thing, and so I'm with Josh on this one, guys. But anyway, no, I mean, I never thought that. First of all, let me just say this. Out of all the discussions that we have had with Dr. Stratton on this subject, the thing I think that I can take away and that I am so grateful for over the course of our meeting Dr. Stratton and continuing the relationship with him that we've developed is the friendship that has came out of these discussions between Dr. Stratton and myself, as well as between the whole group. I mean, again, and I give him all the props in the world. Dr. Stratton has went above and beyond anyone else besides Josh and David to help me on this journey that I have found myself in whenever it comes to determinism, Calvinism, Molinism, and free will. And that is the thing that I think I'm most grateful for over the entire course of Faith Unaltered is the people that we're bringing to Christ, the quality of the episodes that we're producing, and my friendship with Dr. Stratton on just in general. And like I said, it was because of him and Josh that I now lean libertarian free will and hold to that view. And because of these guys, like, I'm diving into the subject more because I want to know everything that I can about it. Now, granted, like I've just said previously, not very recently, I'm taking a break on it because of I feel like I'm getting more and more into philosophy and getting away from my first love, which is theology. Now, granted, the two go hand in hand, obviously, but now I'm starting to read books that don't quote the Bible at all, or even reference the Bible, and I don't like that. You know, there's just something. I'm not saying it's bad or anything like that. Please go read philosophy books. Go read books that don't quote scripture or anything like that. But for me, it's just I can't make my nest there, so to say. Like, I can't find my home in those subjects, and so I'm decided to go back to Greek, finish up my second year Greek classes. But yeah, the debate, the discussion, the debate, whatever you want to call it, between Chris and Tim, it got off to a rocky start. I'll say that.
Stop it. Oh, sorry. That was it for you. That was my.
I will. Anyway, but it did get off to a bumpy start. But after the two had kind of actually, like, and you see this on video, took a step back, took a deep breath, kind of said, I don't know if they prayed a little prayer in their head or whatever. But after that, the conversation was fluid up until about the very end. But other than that, a lot. I think, and I was talking to Josh about this the other day, and Josh, you can back me up on this, that episode, other than the episode we did on CSG with Chris Date, Andrew Elliott, and Jeremiah Short, and not only that, but the episodes that we've had with Colton Carlson, bro, I think we flushed this topic out in a way that nobody, and I think I can say this with 99.9% certainty, in a way that nobody else has fleshed this out by interview style, right? Just because that we have sat down and decided right off from the get-go that we was not going to object to the claims that were being made, but instead ask clarifying questions to further the discussion down the road. And that is one of the things that I take away from this, and I think that it's good for our audience as well to be able to learn from in that way. But Josh, what did you think about the and real quick before Josh, before you take over, I know you got to run, brother, but we have been referencing past CSG episodes, past Pora episodes. Y'all, we have a playlist on our YouTube channel that you can go and find all of these episodes. Every single one of them that we've been referencing, they're on those playlists. And so just go to our playlist at Faith Unaltered, scroll down, you'll see the archives for CSG, you'll see the archives for Pora, and just click on them. And then there's all of our old episodes that we had before we collabed. Also, go subscribe to the Complete Center's Guide YouTube channel. Josh is still running it. He's still doing shows on there. They're not as frequent as we do on Faith Unaltered every week, but he is still producing content and getting shows ready for that channel. So they're only at 400 subscribers, 405, I think it is, last time I checked. But y'all go get them up to 1,000 as well, and then we can have two channels rocking. But Josh, what do you think about
and Real Seekers too? Because Dale has phenomenal content. I mean,
I don't like that guy.
If you want good content, if you want stuff like on the Shroud and stuff, oh my gosh, Dale has some pretty phenomenal interviews. And if you want to listen to some of his teaching on like the Kalam cosmological argument, he has a whole series on them that is probably more thorough than you'll get anywhere else.
Yeah. But Josh, real quick, I want to ask Dale, so Dale, be thinking about this while Josh is talking about the episodes that we've had with Stratton and Date and the Reformed and the Molinists. But you got asked a question the other night whenever we were talking to Colton, and I don't think you ever answered it. And so be thinking about this, but why in the world do you wear the sunglasses? So think about that, Josh. I will get your thoughts on the Molinist and Calvinist episodes.
So I was actually going to mention the playlist as well on the Faith Unaltered channel. There's playlists that have everything that's relevant to what we're talking about. There's a playlist for Pora, and there's a playlist for CSG. But I think what we need to do is make a playlist specifically for the topic of free will, determinism, yada yada. Right?
It will happen. It will.
Right. That's going to be something that's going to be the most helpful, because I don't think we realize yet, like you and I even realize yet, how much content we actually have about that topic specifically. It's something that became really important for me probably about 6 years ago, something like that, when I actually made my own transition out of Calvinism. I started to really dive deeper into these things. And I came to the conclusion that I couldn't rationally affirm the things that I was affirming because of that, the issues that it was bringing to me about, God's holiness, man's responsibility, and so forth, and those kind of things. So this is something that I think is going to be really influential and really a good resource for people in the future moving forward, is to have all of the compilation of all those discussions that we've had put together in one place for just the accessibility, but also just like he said, the scope and the depth that we were able to go to without being, university professors, without being college teachers, without being scholars, because I'm a layman. I'll be honest with you. I've never been to college. I just like to learn. Right? Like this is something that I'm really passionate about, is being able to probe ideas that if I can find the boundary of my own ignorance.
That's why you're a heretic.
Maybe.
Heretic.
Maybe. But yeah, it's like if I can find the boundary of my own ignorance in a certain topic, I like to kick that fence over and see what falls through, right? Like I really like that thing. That's one of my favorite processes in learning. But I think that what we've provided, like Tyler said, what we've provided in doing this the way that we have, where it's not necessarily just a debate, it's really an ongoing conversation, and one that's centered around being peaceable, being clear, right? We want to be absolutely clear. We want fundamentally to make this accessible to people that, let's say, either haven't thought about this or have thought about it, but have a limited resource and have only heard their favorite hero teachers talk about it. Yeah. It's really something very different than that. That's not what we're not offering the same spiel that our favorite hero teachers give, that, oh, you run up against mystery and then you just kind of have to agree with it. Sorry, kids. Like, we didn't play that game. And I really am so happy that we didn't. I'm really so happy that we pushed that so far and we're able to come to a place where now it's like the way that I would define free will is not the same way I would define it last year or even the year before it. And there's been so much clarity that came out of those conversations, just for me personally, that I'm going to revisit them often, and have. I've listened to the discussion with Chris Date that I had with him about Reformed theology on CSG probably 6-7 times already. And like, I can't say that he convinced me, but he definitely got me to be more careful about how I stage my objections and questions.
Yeah.
And that alone is worth its weight in gold. We need to be careful about we need to be purposeful with how we use our language, with how we think, with how we conclude, with how we deliberate. We need to be purposeful. And I think that's probably my biggest takeaway from those episodes, was recognizing that oftentimes it's a difference in vocabulary, right? But it's not just a difference in vocabulary. Sometimes it's the same vocabulary, different dictionary. Yep. And that's a big problem, right? It's like these kind of things that we just talk past each other. We miss each other. That doesn't have to happen if you just take the second to not offer your objection, but instead ask, what do you mean? And allow the person the space to say something. And I promise, if you listen to somebody that disagrees with you and you assume they have something that's worth hearing, I promise you'll listen. I promise you'll learn. I promise you'll grow, and I promise it'll be worth it.
I gotta second that. If you're not listening, you're not learning. We have to listen. Where do we go if we don't learn? I'm 41. These guys are all younger than me. I praise Tyler. I praise Tyler, and I praise Josh, and I praise Dale for how smart they are, because they're getting what I see people on college levels not. And it's just, you gotta listen. And that's what this show wants to do. This show wants to listen. We want to listen to the various arguments, whether you're an atheist, whether you're a pagan, whether you're anybody that has a different worldview or the same worldview. This year, we also got to talk about the atonement with Will Hess and the church split. We went over the atonement, the different theories of atonement. We had
that Mr. also Shepherd was really awesome.
That was awesome. We had Dr. Wolfmueller on, guys, about the sacraments. Those were phenomenal discussions that I learned so much from. Me and Josh immediately talked about the sacraments and stuff like that, and what they meant to us, and how far we should take them. In our thoughts and what we should do and how we should change. Even I was like, Josh, how can I know more about the sacraments than what I've already learned. And Josh presented me an entirely different idea of what they meant and how we participate in the gospel. And I was blown away. I was really blown away. But I know it's Dale's turn on this about everything. So about the glasses. So I do want to go to the heretic here and see what he's got to say. Happy New Year, Dale. No,
one more thing from my end. Dale, you go ahead and answer. But after Dale's done, I have a special request.
Okay.
My son has 2 biblical questions that he wants to ask of us. And I'd really like to get your guys' answer because he gets them from me often. But he wants to ask you guys his Bible questions. So
Okay,
go ahead, Dale.
Josh, real quick, can he ask them so we can be thinking about it while Dale's speaking?
Okay.
No, they're super simple.
Here, come here.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, buddy.
How's it going?
What's
Go
up,
ahead.
buddy? How you doing?
So, I have some questions, and everyone that's watching, you can also answer down in the comments below. So, first question is: the colors include yellow.
Oh no, hold on.
Wait, okay. God gave Moses specific directions on how to make this. It included 10 curtains of blue, purple, and scarlet yarn. The inner sanctum was called the most holy place. What is it?
Holy of Holies.
What is it?
The answer is tabernacle. It's the tabernacle.
Yep, the
Of the
tabernacle.
Bible.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
Good job, bud.
and now, question number 2. The colors include red, yellow, and blue. The shape of an ark is the sign of the covenant between God and Noah.
Nona. Nona's your grandma, bruh.
Yeah.
Red, yellow, and blue.
It's the shape of an ark, and it's the sign of covenant between God and Noah. What is it?
It's a rainbow.
Rainbow.
Oh,
That's not yeah, that is Noah.
Yes, that's
Is it?
correct.
Yeah.
You thought it was Moses, you heretic.
Yeah, I did. I was like, wait, did he say Moses?
Write down in the comments if you got it correct.
Okay. That is
Thank you
not
very
what I
much.
was
Good job.
expecting.
you see what I
job.
mean? That
job.
yeah. You just proved how stupid I really am. Yeah, I flunked.
You flunked totally.
For some reason, I couldn't get a.
I said
I-
Holy of Holies
had
for
to.
tabernacle. I didn't
Yeah.
include the whole thing. I just included one part.
Yeah.
Good questions. Good questions.
Very good.
All right, go ahead, Dale.
Sunglasses, Dale. Why?
Sunglasses. Well, so the first, I always find it weird, like why people are so like obsessed with finding out why.
This
and
is
stuff
so
like that.
cool.
Yeah. So basically, about a year. I won't go into specifics and stuff, but about a year ago, David knows this. Like I had like a huge eye problem and stuff, and I had to go to the hospital and everything like that. And essentially, it's just like a lasting thing. The only way to like truly fix it is with surgery and stuff, but I don't want to do it because it's I don't think it's that bad that I need to have surgery. I can kind of live without it, but yeah, I just need sunglasses. Like if I'm staring at the computer or like bright lights and stuff like that, it helps. Like today I was doing the interview with Giulio Fonte, and the whole time I couldn't open my right eye. So yeah,
Ooh.
it's okay right now, but see, there you go. I look normal, but
Hey.
Whoa, sexy man. No,
but yeah, it's that's the reason. It's just an eye thing. So
So it's not because you're a Matrix agent.
Mr.
well, that's
Anderson.
Or
That's my
is
cover
there?
Can neither confirm nor deny.
yeah.
Right on.
I
But
can- I can-
anyway,
all right.
guys, okay, so we turn around year in review. Okay. We did so much this year. And Tyler, you put together some great episodes that we didn't, it's funny. It's the episodes we didn't expect that we got. Some of them we didn't expect that we got that just turned out to be phenomenal, and they led to great discussions, great friendships. Dude, I'd never been so excited to have like somebody in my life like Tim Stratton that just has answered my questions, has agreed to help me on some things and to talk to me and stuff like that. And that's just phenomenal. You can't, you, you can't, I can't, the words can't, express how I feel about that.
Yeah.
The friendships that I made with this show, the team that we put together, Josh, Dale, Tyler, you guys, you're amazing to me, and I'm so blessed to have you in my life. Will Hess, and our atonement debates, Jeremiah Short, I love Jeremiah. I talk to him through Facebook Messenger a lot, about different things and stuff like that. Me and him are both big church history geeks. One show that we didn't get to highlight was the one me and you did on Pora about, me and Tyler did on Pora about the deity of Christ with Earth, Wind, and Fire, our friend George. I mean, that was phenomenal. That he
Yeah.
really helped us out a lot with the Gospel of Mark, and how that described the deity of Christ in the first chapter. I mean, just there's a lot we didn't get to, and I know we're running up on the end here, and we've got a lot more for you guys in the future, and I just want to say that. But I know that I'm blessed with this fellowship. I'm blessed, and I'm excited to see what more we can do to serve the people. And that's why me and Tyler have decided, and we had put out a fundraiser earlier in the year about the gospel. And we want to do a series on the gospel, and we're going to cover things that the impact of the gospel, right, Tyler? We're going to talk about the impact of the gospel, what has been seen by pastors that we know.
Yeah.
Want to get the scholars' opinions on the reliability of the Gospels and all sorts of things like that. And Tyler, I want to hear what you got to say about it too. But this is what we have in the future, for you guys. And I'm going to actually travel to Tyler this year, at some point for a couple different reasons. But yeah, I'm definitely going to see him this year on as far as the gospel's concerned, but also I got some stuff to do with Trinity, and Tyler lives pretty close to it. So yeah, so we're going to do that, but we are going to get into the gospel. We're going to give you a documentary on the gospel, and that's going to cover a lot of stuff. And the reason we're doing it is because, like Tyler said, and I gotta, Tyler was like, I want to get back into Greek because I want to get back in the Gospels. I want to get back into the New Testament. And there's a reason for that. And I feel him. I totally connect with him because there is something there with Jesus that captivates the mind, that captivates my heart. And if I'm not reading the word, if I'm not hearing my shepherd's voice, I miss it. I miss it to the point where it makes me cry. It makes me not sleep well at night. I need Jesus in my life. And this is one of the motivations of us saying, hey, let's do a gospel series, because me and Tyler know that me and him are the best together when we're focusing on Jesus. Right? I mean, me and him started a debate on the deity of Christ. Why? Because we know Jesus is God. There's something about that man that just floors us, that just excites us, that does something to our spirit, And Tyler, I'm going to let you take it over from here, but I just wanted to say that. So go for it, brother.
I mean, there's not a lot I can say and really add to what you just said. You kind of encapsulated it all, right there. And I'm excited for it. The only thing I can really add is, guys, to our listeners, if you have remembered, or if you follow us on Facebook, then we had taken up a donation. That donation, we ended up getting, I think it was $77 from givers and donators and this, that, and the other. And we've put it back into a little savings account that I have, and it's not going anywhere until we decide to get this published, or not published, but to get this out there, to get this documentary done. We're going to take those funds and we're going to put them on advertisement money. And so the reason we're doing that is because, unfortunately, in the world we live in, if you want to advertise things to a bunch of people, it costs money. And so that is where our listeners have came in. They were gracious enough to donate us almost $80 to take that, and that's going to reach a lot of people. For the platforms that we use to advertise with, that's going to go to a good significant amount of people. And y'all, we need that in the world that we live in today. I mean, with times the way they are, don't get me wrong, we've always needed the gospel. That's why it's always been available since the creation of Adam, right? And so we're trying to get that message as our primary focus out to the masses. And if you want to help us with that endeavor, you can still donate to us. We have not stopped taking donations for that. So if you would like to donate to that cause to get the gospel out to just that much more people, every dollar counts. Pray about it, and whatever you would want to do, that would help.
Yeah, Tyler, that also is going to enhance what we can do with the documentary as well. So we might be able to do more with it than what we have planned. Now me and Tyler, we're gonna go all out with this. We're gonna do whatever we can. We've been working on storyboards, in our minds, and we've been brainstorming like crazy on how we're gonna do all this, and we're even talking about like working together. But I would love to be able to see what Josh does and get him to talk about the impact of the gospel and where he works. I'd love to go visit Dale and even see what he's working on, So, I mean, depending on what we get and how we get it, is what we're going to be able to do with it on an even bigger scale, but we want to talk about the impact of the gospel. We want to talk about the reliability of the gospel, the truth of the gospel, and who Jesus is. And we want to bring him out in that series the best way we can. So that's what we're looking forward to. Again, we had a great year. We had so many great guests, and we thank all our guests that came on, all the friendships we've made, the friendships that have been even cultivated, mine and Josh's, mine and Dale's, Tyler's and Dale's, Tyler's and Josh's, and Tyler and me. Like I said, Tyler, I got to host his family here for a week, and I mean, it was probably one of the best times of my life. We had such a great time. And then I was jealous that Tyler got to go actually and see Josh, because I want to see Josh too, because I want to hug a big teddy bear. But
He is. It's not the same, bro.
Yeah.
It's not the same when you're on screen.
It is.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. But and I want to, I would love to spend a couple of nights in Canada with Dale, just talk about the gospel and make him drink some of my wine. But he's gonna drink milk instead out of a bag. But anyways, guys, we hope that you liked tonight. I know we've gone way over. I think we've just enjoyed this fellowship. I really do. And this was fun. This was just great to go over what we've learned this year. But Tyler, I'm going to give it back to you, brother.
Well, before we end, I want to know just from everybody here, and I'll start. What was y'all's favorite episode from the year? And I would have to say my favorite episode was the one that we did with Dr. Bill Mounts, just because I'm a Greek nerd. I want to do more Greek stuff in 2023, but that was definitely my favorite episode to date. So, David, what was yours?
I love meeting Tim Stratton. I got to say, besides like the growth that I've experienced getting to know everybody that we met, whether it was Rob Rowe, or, I love Dr. Hugh Ross. I love talking to him. Every chance I get, I would learn so much from him. But actually getting to meet a guy like Tim Stratton, who is kind of like to me is like, I mean, he's somebody that I can relate to so well. And to meet a guy like that was a special treat that I didn't expect this year. So I'd have to put that on the top of my list this year. Getting to actually talk to the guy, that I've been following for years. Every time I do that, like Dale, he probably made my year a couple years ago with putting me in the contact with Dr. Gary Habermas. I mean, that was powerful. And then the year before that was Dr. Hugh Ross, which I got to meet, one of my idols. Like I told people, I said, I have 5 spiritual leaders that have really impacted my faith. And Dr. Hugh Ross and Dr. Gary Habermas are all my top, maybe the top 3, you know? So, I mean, they've really impacted my faith so much. And then to have someone like Dr. Tim Stratton this year was really something that blessed me beyond words. So go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah, I'm still here. Sorry, my little girl is, I think, going to run in here. Josh, what was your favorite episode?
I'm gonna have to probably go with my bias and say that the narrative structure on Exodus is still probably one of my favorite episodes that we've done.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that it was on a subject that I am individually and personally so invested in, that has been a huge impact and is one of the single most useful ideas with the greatest explanatory power I've ever encountered in my whole life. And it is so remarkable. It really is.
Yeah. Amen. Dale?
Yeah, I think my favorite show or series of shows to have been involved in, believe it or not, is our Theo Geeks one. The series that we're doing right now is egalitarianism versus complementarianism, because that's an issue. I've been doing apologetics podcast since 2018. Believe it or not, I've never spoken to that issue. So, and that was something back in my high school days that caused me to drink a lot of milk and have some doubts and stuff like that. But yeah, so I think that's an important issue to deal with as well. So it's kind of fun to, okay, I'm working through a new issue that I haven't spoken on in previous podcasts. So yeah, I think that's my favorite.
Amen. Amen, brother. And if y'all didn't get a good look at that, so yes, Dale is the bag of milk guy. And we have got the bag of milk live in our studio right now. So here he is.
2%. Where's that?
There you go. And so with that, y'all, it has been a
funnily enough, though, I will
Yeah.
only drink chocolate milk out of a carton. I won't drink that out of a bag. I don't know why.
Hypocrite. No, just
get out of here with your nonsense. I'm kidding. But y'all, it has been one heaven of a year on Faith Unaltered, and I'm so pleased, like David had mentioned, the fellowship, the teaching, the edification, and just the love that we all share, not only for one another, but for our audience and for our Lord and our Savior, Christ Jesus. You know, none of this would be possible without all three of those combinations working together in a very, very good way. And I think we've got nothing but good things coming for this episode, but we need our listeners to get us out there to people. We need our hosts to dig deep and to present the information in a articulate way and an edifying way. And we need God's grace every step of the day, not only not to fall, but to keep pressing forward, to keep moving on, and that he would empower us with the passion and the drive to dig into these subjects, to bring them to y'all completely free of charge. We don't charge anything for our episodes whatsoever, and that's the way we want to keep it on Faith Unaltered. And so without y'all, I love you guys. I love doing this, and we have got 2023 good things coming. So get prepared, get subscribed if you haven't yet, and y'all take care. Have a wonderful, wonderful New Year's Eve and a New Year's, and may God bless each and every one of you. Until we see you again, have a wonderful, wonderful night. God bless, and stay like Christ.